Welcome to Cat and Jess Talk the Best, where we're going to be talking about IMDb's top 250 movies from April 12th, 2018. My name is Kat.
And I'm Jess.
And today we are talking about number 210, Butch, Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which is a biography crime drama film from 1969. This has an 8.1 on 185,170 votes. So the spoiler-free synopsis: the true story of fast draws, wild rides, battles with posses, train and bank robberies, a torrid love affair, and a new lease on outlaw life in faraway Bolivia. It is also a character study of a remarkable friendship between Butch, possibly the most likable outlaw in frontier history, and his closest associate, the fabled, ever-dangerous Sundance Kid.
Yeah, I think that's a good description of it.
Yep.
Alright, so this is directed by George Roy Hill. He also directed films like Hawaii, Thoroughly Modern Millie, and The Sting, which is number 97 on our list.
Oh, cool.
And this stars Paul Newman, Robert Redford, and Catherine Ross. And this is not Catherine Ross's first film on here.
On our list?
Nope, she's in Donnie Darko also.
Oh, is she like
she's
the old grandma? Is that who she is?
She is the psychiatrist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's her.
She looks way different.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, this is the 60s, and that was the early 2000s.
Yeah. Okay. So the Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic rating on this is a 66. Rotten Tomatoes, it has 90% on 48 critical reviews, 43 fresh and 5 rotten. 2 fresh, John Mahoney. It is a great film and will be an exceptionally popular and profitable one. Okay. I mean, it's pretty profitable, for sure. And it was pretty popular when it came out. Whitney Williams. The John Foreman production is episodic, but George Roy Hill's direction is so satisfying in catching the full value of Goldman's screenplay that a high degree of interest is sustained.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. There's a few parts that I was just like, what in the world is happening? But other than those, I'm like, yeah, it's pretty interesting. So, 2 rotten. Dave Kerr. You have to admire the craft and assurance of the thing, even if its artificiality hits you in the face. It's not really that artificial, though. Most of the events in this were real.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Time magazine. Every character, every scene is marred by the film's double view, which oscillates between sympathy and farce.
What? I don't really get that, but okay.
I think they're saying that they're trying to make you feel sympathetic for these 2 outlaws.
But I don't feel sympathetic.
Yeah, I was like, no, not really. Like, I know they were bad people. I know they were really bad people, but I don't feel any sympathy for them.
Nope, none.
So the consensus. With its iconic pairing of Paul Newman and Robert Redford, jaunty screenplay, and Burt Bacharach's score. I don't know how to say his name.
I think it's Bacharach.
Bacharach?
Yeah, because that sounds familiar.
Okay, so Burt Bacharach's score, Butch, Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, has gone down as among the defining moments in the late 60s American cinema. It is true.
I would agree with that. I mean,
Yeah.
I've known about this film for years and years. My dad loves it, so...
Yeah. It's good.
He'll be excited. He's like, finally you watched it. Took you long enough.
It's good. It's a good one.
Agreed.
So the income. The budget for this film was about $6 million. The domestic gross was $102,308,889. Its all-time domestic rank is number 685, and its all-time domestic rank adjusted for inflation is number 38.
Wow, it's pretty good.
Yeah. So, its awards, it won 4 Oscars and it had 16 other wins and 14 other nominations. So, for the Oscars that it won Best Writing, Story, and Screenplay based on material not previously published or produced. William Goldman won that for his screenplay. Best Cinematography, Best Music Original Score for the song Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. And then Best Music Original Score for a motion picture, not a musical.
Huh.
And then it won a Golden Globe for the Best Original Score. At the BAFTA Awards, it won the Anthony Asquith Award for Film Music. It also won Best Cinematography, Best Direction, Best Film Editing, Best Screenplay, Best Soundtrack, Best Actor, and Best Actress.
Whoa.
Yeah, and the BAFTA, I believe that those are the British equivalent of the Oscars.
Yeah, pretty much is.
So that's a lot of awards.
It is. I was like, I looked this one up, like, who won the Oscar that year?
Because it was nominated for Best Picture.
It was nominated, and Midnight Cowboy beat it out.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
I haven't seen Midnight Cowboy, so...
I've seen bits and pieces of it, so it makes sense that it won over Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Okay. I'll trust you. I haven't seen it.
From the bits and pieces I've seen, it's a little bit more interesting than this one.
Okay.
The ASCAP Film and Television Music Awards, Most Performed Feature Film Standards, for the song Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. Won a Grammy for Best Original Score written for a motion picture or television show. The Laurel Awards, it won Best Action Drama, and it won the Golden Laurel for Music Man. So, the composer won the Golden Laurel for that. It is in the National Film Preservation Board. And Writers Guild of America, William Goldman won Best Drama written directly for the screen.
Huh.
Yep.
I was looking at William Goldman. I was like, wait a minute, I recognize that name from somewhere.
I was wondering if you would.
Yeah, I know it, and it's because Princess Bride.
Yep.
He wrote Princess Bride.
Yeah.
I was like, I know that name!
Yeah. So what did you think? Because this was your first time watching it, right?
First time full all the way through, no stopping. Because I've always caught, like, bits of it on, like, TV.
Yeah.
But I liked it. I really did. It was making me giggle half the time.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of silly at some points. And it doesn't say it's a comedy either.
No.
Even though it should say that. Because there's some comedic bits in there.
Well, I think that's just how Butch's, his personality was.
It wasn't just Butch either.
Yeah, that's true. The Sundance Kid was very, sarcastic.
I was like, awesome. I love the sarcasm. Yeah, I was like, all right, Paul Newman, Robert Redford. Okay, great pairing.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I did. I'm finally happy I got to see it all the way through. Some of the, I will admit, some of the music was kind of off-putting for me, but
Yeah.
That's me. Maybe because I was thinking, oh, hey, this is a Western, so maybe like Western theme music, but it was like end of the 60s, and they're using that type of music, so it's throwing me off.
Yeah.
That's why I had to take a couple points off for that.
Yeah, some of the music was a little bit like, what in the world is going on, but most of the rest of the music made sense for what was happening. So
Yeah.
I did like the music for the most part.
And there's so many, I didn't realize how many lines I knew from this movie. There's so many, like, this is like Casablanca for me all over again. The
Yeah,
first
there's
time I
just so
watched
many.
that movie, I was like, oh, I know that line, and that line, and that line. This one is probably, like, has so many, like, memorable quotes from it.
Yeah.
And you don't realize it until you actually watch the entire thing all
Yeah.
the way through. But yeah, I really liked it. I'm going to watch it again sometime.
Yeah. This is the second time I've seen it, because I watched it when I was in high school, and I enjoyed it. There was just some bits that were a little bit confusing and some bits that were a little bit drug out, I think, but for the most part, it was pretty good.
Yeah, I'll give you that. And you can tell, like, just special effects-wise, because I'm into that. Some of the special effects they're dated.
Yeah.
You can tell it's from the 1960s. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. I think that's all for initial thoughts.
Yeah, I'm good.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
That was your warning. If you haven't watched the film yet, then come back after you've watched it. So, it starts off with kind of like a movie reel thing, and you're watching about the Hole in the Wall gang, which is actually the name of the gang in the movie of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And you see them robbing a train on that little movie.
Yes.
And then it says, most of what follows is true.
Most.
Yeah, there's some of it that's not true, but most of it is. And I'm going to put a link in the show notes for a website that can tell you what is actually true in the movie and what actually happened in these two people's lives.
It's like, or what's just, cinematic magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah. And at the beginning, it's like black and white, but it's not really. It's more brown and white. Actually, just a bunch of different shades of brown.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like the beginning of The Wizard of Oz, how it's...
Yes, I was going to say that.
Okay.
It also gives it, like, that older feel to it.
Yeah.
Because this is set back in...
The 1900s. The early 1900s, so like 1910s and 20s, I think, is when they were alive.
I don't remember.
So the Sundance Kid was born in 1867 and he died in 1908. Butch Cassidy was born in 1866 and died in 1908.
Okay.
So
early 1900s.
Yeah. So it was like, they were probably like...
They weren't young anymore.
Yeah, they were... I think Butch was like around like 45 or something. And the Sundance Kid was around 50, I think. They were getting there.
They're old.
Yeah.
For back then, like, they're old.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially for their profession, they were old.
Yes.
So we see one of the men playing cards. And one of the men... Well, actually, first, one of the men is going into a bank as it's closing.
He's looking around.
Yeah. And then, we see the other man, he's playing cards. And he's dealing, he is getting accused of cheating.
Yeah.
Which...
Probably was.
Yeah, he probably was, but that's not the best thing in the world to accuse the Sundance Kid of doing.
Well, I mean, the dude didn't even know it was a Sundance Kid at first.
That's true.
He did not.
So, Butch comes in while this like little showdown is happening, when the Sundance Kid is getting mad at this guy for accusing him of cheating. And he's like, just ask us to stay and there won't be a problem. And the guy is so confused.
He's like, what? Okay.
Yeah. Then he figures out that that is the Sundance Kid. And he asks him how good he is.
Yeah. And of course, Kid, of course, shows off a bit.
Yeah.
Because he's a pretty good shot.
Yeah, he's a really good shot. But it's funny because we see a little bit later in the movie that when he's standing still, he is not a good shot.
No.
But when he's moving is when he's a good shot.
He even says later, he's like, I do better when I move.
Yeah. So they leave and they're talking, Butch and Sundance are talking to each other about what their plans are and everything. And Butch is like, we're gonna go to Bolivia.
Yeah, Bolivia.
And I'm just like, what a random place to go.
I mean, It is kind of random, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, even later in the movie, he mentions another place. So, he's just full of ideas.
Yeah. So they're going off and they're riding through, I guess, like a valley. And they come across this little small house and there's a bunch of guys out there. And that is their gang. Well, kind of. At this point, they don't want to be their gang anymore, but Butch is like, excuse me.
He's like, I know, we're still a gang.
Yeah.
And he's telling them how banks are better to rob than trains are.
Yeah, because the gang is about to go rob a train. With Harvey. They're saying Harvey is in charge now.
Is it Harvey Logan, if I remember correctly?
Yeah. Yeah, his name is Harvey Logan. He's a pretty big dude.
Do you know who he is? The actor?
Yeah, because I'm looking at the cast right now.
He played Lurch in the original Addams Family.
Oh, that makes sense.
Because he's a really tall dude.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I was like, I know that dude from somewhere.
Yeah, I was going to say, looking at his little picture, he does look like him.
Yep, that's Lurch.
Okay. So, Butch challenges Harvey and says that if Harvey wins, the gang can follow Harvey. And that if Butch wins, the gang will stick with Butch and Sundance. And Butch leans over to Sundance and tells him, he's like, if Harvey kills me, will you kill him, please?
He's like, oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because they're best friends, so of course.
Totally. Total butts. I love it.
Yeah. So, Butch says, hold on, we gotta go over the rules, and Harvey's like, no, there are no rules, we just fight each other.
He's like, okay. And he kicks him in the balls. I love that.
And Butch wins.
I mean, in a dirty way, but he won.
Yeah, if there were no rules, then there's not really a dirty way of winning.
True. Very true. I'll give you that.
So
to me, it's dirty.
Well, yeah. I agree, but I also am thinking in the mind of Butch just a little bit. I'm like, they didn't really have any rules set up, so...
That's true.
So, Butch decides that they're gonna rob the train, and they're gonna use Harvey's plan.
Yeah.
So they stop the train and everything, and they're trying to get the guy inside the door where the safe is at, to open the door. But he won't open the door.
Yeah, he won't. It's so funny. I recognize a bunch of actors from different movies. Like, the guy that's in there, I recognize him from Blazing Saddles.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's one of the characters in Blazing Saddles.
I don't remember what his name is.
I don't either, but I just recognized him. It's like, I do that throughout the entire movie. My head is like, oh, that's from that movie, or from that movie, or
Yeah,
that's that actor.
That's what I do, too. I tend to recognize them. There's a few people I recognized in this one, but I couldn't place them.
Yeah.
So they tell the guy inside the train car that they're going to blow off the door if he doesn't open it. And he still doesn't open it, so he kind of goes and, hides behind this, thing. A bunch of big containers or whatever.
Yeah.
And, they blow off the door.
I was like, nice, dynamite.
Yeah. And then they rob it. And the guy is pretty banged up. He's got his arms probably broken. At least it looks like it.
Yeah, he doesn't look very good, but he's alive
still. They
still.
threw a lot of blood on him.
Yeah, blood effects weren't that great.
No, they weren't.
No, I was like, that looks like paint.
Yeah, throughout the whole movie, I thought they were using paintballs.
That's what I thought, too. But again, this is the 60s, and special effects have come a long way.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yep. So the sheriff that's in the town right near where they robbed the train is asking for the whole town to help. He's out there giving a little speech about how this is our town and we need to protect it and this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, good luck with that.
Oh, I love that actor, too. I'm glad he has a bit part in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kenneth Mars.
He did a good job.
I love Kenneth Mars. He's just a great actor. And you always find him in, like, bit roles in movies. I love it. Oh, he's a great actor.
See what else I've seen him in. Because I recognized him.
Oh,
he was Triton in The Little Mermaid.
Yes.
That's why I recognized his voice.
He's also in Young Frankenstein, The Producers. Gosh, a bunch of other
Land
movies.
Before Time.
Yeah. He's the grandpa in Land Before Time.
That's why I didn't really recognize him as much. I recognized his voice more.
Yeah.
Because everything I know him from is all animated, so I know his voice really well.
And see, I know him as an actor, like, visually, so it works out.
Yeah. So, he's, like, giving his little speech, and then this guy comes up with a bicycle and starts selling it because the sheriff has got, or I guess he's the marshal, he's gotten the attention of the crowd, so now the bike salesman can come up and sell his bike.
He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, you got a crowd gathered. Why not?
Yeah.
And I love how this entire thing is going on, and Butch and Sundance are just watching from above.
Yeah, up in a window. And it's like a whorehouse, kind of.
Yeah, I call it a brothel. That's what it is. It's like, yep, that's a brothel. We're good.
Yep. But they're just kind of talking a little bit, and Kid says, Sundance says he's gonna go look for a woman. He's like, I'm not too picky. But then he lists, like, all these different characteristics off.
That made me laugh so hard. I was like, oh gosh.
Yeah, that one was funny. Then we see this woman, and that is Catherine Ross's character, Etta. We don't quite know her name yet, but that's who it is. And she's just gotten home, or just came inside, one of the two. And she goes in her room and, like, starts undressing and stuff, and she turns around and realizes that there is someone in the room with her, and it is Sundance.
Yeah, and he's just watching.
Yep. And you kind of get the feeling that... See, I had seen this before, but I didn't remember this part. So I kind of got the feeling that he was going to do something bad. But then you figure out, oh, they know each other.
They really know each other.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Yeah. So, yeah. It looks like it's going to be something bad, but it's really not, because they actually know each other, so it's okay.
Yeah, I thought that same thing, too. I was like, what's going on? Is this going to be, like, a rapey scene? What is this?
Since they don't really... they just show them kissing, and then that's all they show.
But we know what happens. Come on.
Yeah. Because the next morning, there's a guy outside, and he keeps going past the window back and forth and back and forth. And he is reading poetry. And then Etta goes outside, and it's Butch, and he is on the bicycle.
Yeah, he's riding around on the bike.
Yeah. And so he takes her for a ride. And the song Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head plays at this point.
Yeah.
And I was so confused by this entire scene. And it's like, what in the world does this have to do with anything?
I think it shows that, Butch kind of had a little something with her, too.
Well, yeah. But I feel like this was a waste of, like, 4 or 5 minutes.
Hey, they had to put the song in somewhere.
That's the other thing is, I know that this song was written for this movie, but it does not make any sense at all.
And see, I didn't know it was written for this movie.
I did know that.
And
it was written specifically for this movie.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I just, like, I've heard the song I don't know how many times. I didn't know it was for this movie, so.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm just like, it makes absolutely no fucking sense.
Not really. I'll give you that. It really doesn't make sense.
But so they get to the little barn, and this is all in the little bike scene thing, and she gets off and goes up into the barn, and then he's running around and doing tricks and stuff, which is kind of funny. And then he falls through the fence because he's riding backwards.
And the fence breaks down. There's a bull right there.
Yep, and the bull looks at him, and he looks at the bull, and then he makes a face at the bull, and the bull chases him, and they run off.
Like, the music with this right here, and, like, the scene, it kind of reminded me of, like, British comedy.
Yeah.
Like, Benny Hill, or, Jack Benny.
Yeah.
Of that type.
Yeah, I agree. It's a very, comedic type music.
Almost like a slapstick, kind of?
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for, but I couldn't figure it out.
I got you.
So they get back over to the house, Etta's house, and Etta asks Butch if they would have been together instead of her and Sundance if she had met Butch first. And he's like, probably.
Butch is a mess, I swear.
Yeah.
God, he's just, like, so full of himself half the time.
Yeah. He's pretty funny, though.
He is.
But then, they're back at the house, and Sundance comes out, and he's like, what are you doing? Because he sees them sitting on the bike there together. And he's like, I'm stealing your woman? He's like, yeah, whatever, have her.
He's like, take her.
He's like, I don't care.
And I was like, that's another famous line I know about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then they're robbing the train on its way back. So they robbed it on its way out to wherever it was going, and now they're robbing it on its way back.
Yep. Same dude still.
Yep. This old woman gets off the train and starts yelling at them.
Just ranting. I'm like, do you know who these people are?
Yeah, I'm like,
really?
Oh my god, what are you doing? But that was pretty funny. So they kind of take her hostage. She looked familiar to me, so I'm looking her up real quick.
She did look a little familiar to me, too. I just forgot.
Her name is Jody Gilbert. I'm looking, hold on.
Okay. I was like, the name doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah, her name doesn't sound familiar. Never Give a Sucker an Even Break. Willard. House by the River. She was in a lot of stuff. Batman. That's why I recognized her.
I was like, shouldn't you recognize her from Batman? I just looked too.
That's what it was. Batman. That's where I recognized her from. I was like, this woman looks familiar, and I couldn't figure out why. And now I saw Batman on there. Like, okay, that makes sense.
I'm looking to see what else, because I think she's in an earlier film that I know of.
Well, she's an actor. It looks like from like the 30s to the 60s. I don't really see anything else besides Batman that I recognize her from.
Sergeant York. Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, but I can see Batman. For sure.
Yeah. Okay, now that we know that. So, yeah, she's off the train yelling at him, and so she gets taken kind of hostage. And, the guy inside the train opens the door because he knows that they have this woman hostage, so he opens the door, and we see that on the safe, there's a whole bunch of extra mechanisms to keep it locked.
I was like, you really don't want anyone in there, do you?
Yeah, so Butch says they're going to need a lot more dynamite. They put a lot more dynamite.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
It just, like, blows the entire train cart up. Yeah. And the safe. When all this money is just flying everywhere.
Yeah, it's funny.
And then there's another famous line from that, too. So.
I don't think I wrote that one down. I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't. Oh, I know what you're talking about, but I didn't write it down. That one is a funny one. But so they see the smoke from another train coming, and because I didn't really remember much of this movie, I remembered bits and pieces of it.
Yeah.
So my brain's like, oh my god, they're about to kill all these people because they stopped the train and so it got off its time schedule and this other train doesn't know. It's like it's gonna wreck.
And it's like, it was just weird that it was only like, it wasn't very long of a train.
Yeah, when they show it, it's just it's the engine and one car.
Yes.
And then you see 6 guys come flying out on horses.
Yeah, which I thought was like, how did they fit all those horses in there?
Train cars are pretty big.
I know, but like, just think logically about it.
No, you can fit six horses in there. I've been in a train car. They're friggin' big.
And then just keep them calm the entire time.
Well, so with horses that are actors, so I don't know how they would have done it actually in the 1900s, but with horses that are actors, it's really easy to do it.
Well,
because they're used to stuff like that, so I think that's the only way they could have kept them calm. As for how it actually happened, I have no idea.
I was like, I'm thinking like logically at this point. I'm like, how does that work?
Yeah. I don't know how they kept them calm, but it's pretty easy to fit 6 horses in there.
Okay.
Yeah, those things are friggin' big. But so, the guys start chasing the hole in the wall gang. And they kill 2 of them. And the other ones, and Butch and Sundance are riding off, and they decide to split up. Because Butch and Sundance think that some of them will follow the other 2, and some of them will follow them. But that doesn't happen.
Nope, they just follow them.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, they're kind of the big names, so.
Yeah. So all 6 of them follow them, and this is basically like the next 20-30 minutes is just a big chase.
It is. It really is.
Like, I mean, we could talk about it in detail, but most of it is just a big friggin' chase. Like, they do get back to the hotel at one point, like right after that.
Yeah, they do.
After the train thing. And they're talking, and they get a room, and they're kind of hiding. And Butch and Sundance are in the same room while Butch is being pleased by a woman. He's like, you're distracting me because you're watching out the window. And I'm like, well, what else is he going to look at? Because it's kind of weird if he's in there watching you and this chick. So let him look out the window.
I think that was Cloris Leachman. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
Because I don't remember. I have to watch this again. Like, her name.
Agnes? Wasn't her name Agnes?
Yeah, so that is Cloris Leachman then.
Yeah.
A young Cloris Leachman. But that's her. And I love her. She's hilarious. She's a great comedian. But
so they have to sneak out of the little hotel thing to get away because the people are back on them again. So they are running again, and they eventually decide to shoo one of the horses off and ride the same horse because they think it'll distract the people that are tracking them, which it doesn't work.
No. Like, they're still being followed.
Yeah, so they come into this little town, and they're talking to one of the sheriffs.
And the sheriff actually knows him pretty well.
Yeah. I was writing stuff down at this point, so I don't remember exactly what happens with the sheriff. I know that they tie the sheriff up as kind of part of a distraction, and because the sheriff tells them to, and I'm just like, what in the world?
He's like, well, I don't want to seem like I'm helping you or anything.
Yeah.
And they're saying, like, well, we're trying to, like, you know, like, Butch keeps suggesting they go into, like, the army.
Yeah.
To fight, was it the Spanish or something?
Yeah, I think it's the Spanish at this point that they're fighting.
Yeah, I think that's what they said. And he's like, no, that's not gonna work. You guys are, like, really wanted, and they just want you dead at this point.
Yeah, they're like, no. So they tie the sheriff up and leave him there to use it to distract the people that are following them. But of course that doesn't work either.
Nope. Not at all.
So they are continuing on the run and everything, and they come across this big huge cliff that they decide they're going to climb up that, and they shoo the horse off, and they climb up it, and they're gonna make their stand here because Sundance says he cannot swim. So he doesn't want to jump into the water, the little river there.
Yeah, he's like, oh, come on. And then Butch says that famous line, of course. I mean, there's so many lines in this movie.
Yeah.
And then they just jump anyways.
Yep.
And I love how there's cursing in this film. As they're jumping, Sundance is saying, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
I love it. And I'm like, how'd they get away with that in the 1960s?
I don't know.
Maybe because he was yelling it and you couldn't tell that well?
Well, yeah, probably because of that and the sound of the river. Because you could hear the river really, really well, so that they, you couldn't really hear him saying, "Oh shit." Kind of, but not really. But they did talk about how one of the guys tracking them, he wears the white hat, that he is the Native American. He's a Native American, and he's a really good tracker.
Yeah.
And he is the one that's helping the people following him to fight, or to find Butch and Sundance. But so they are like flowing down the river and everything, and Butch is holding on to Sundance because Sundance can't swim. So Butch is like almost drowning and Sundance is almost drowning because they're trying to hold on to each other.
Yeah.
But eventually they get out of the river and they go back to Etta's house.
Yeah.
And she gives them some of the information on the guys that are following them.
And there's a newspaper too.
Yeah, she confirms that the Native American is the guy that's tracking them and some other people, and they do want them dead and stuff like that. So they decide that they are going to leave the country.
Go to Bolivia.
Yes.
And the kid asked Etta, he's like, well, it'd be a good idea for you to come with us. It'd be a good cover to go with a woman.
Yeah. Because that way it's not just two guys traveling, because that can be a little suspicious, especially in the 1900s. Especially the way that they're trying to travel, so if they take a woman, it's a little bit more acceptable.
Yeah.
So they load up the next day. Or at least it looks like the next day.
Yeah.
It might be the same day. They're loading up to leave, and this part's a little bit funny when Butch throws the bike out. I was like, "Here's to the future," or something like that. And throws the bike, and it goes for a good little bit, and it falls over.
It falls.
Yeah.
And then there's like this photo slideshow.
Yeah, I like how they did this part, because if they had actually filmed it, it would have taken forever.
Agreed. I did like this, and shows how they got to, they traveled up to New York.
Yep.
And Coney Island. And then, this is the part where I thought the music was a bit off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. It really was.
Yeah, the music was a little bit weird during the little photo array thing.
It was very...
It was very
60-ish.
late 60s.
I was like, very 60s.
Yeah. Yeah, that part, the music didn't make sense either, but most of the rest of the movie, the music made sense, but this part, I'm like, what? And then the raindrops keep falling on my head, I'm like, what?
Exactly. They had to remind you that we are still in the 1960s.
Yeah. But so they get to Bolivia, and they're like at a deserted train station. And there's nobody there except for them and a bunch of farm animals.
And, like Sundance is like, what the hell? He's just, like, so irritated. He's like, what happens if all Bolivia's like this? And just, like, angry.
Yeah. And Butch is like, oh, it's not all like this. He's like, how do you know? But yeah, so they're mad at each other and everything.
I'm not gonna lie, this reminded me of me and you. Like, you're Sundance and I'm Butch. Like, you would just be pissed off, just going off about something, and I'm like, dude, it's gonna be fine. Just chill.
Yeah. That's very true. That's funny. I never thought of it that way.
I did.
That's really funny. uh, so, Etta starts kind of talking to them in Spanish, because Butch said he understood Spanish, but obviously he does not.
No. So, she is a teacher.
Yep.
And so she teaches them Spanish.
Yep, she's teaching them some Spanish. Except for, so Butch is cheating. He's using a piece of paper.
Oh, I know.
But so they kind of stake out this bank that they're gonna rob. But they don't expect the people of Bolivia in the banks to speak Spanish. So Butch goes in there and he is all confused. And that's why they needed Etta to teach him Spanish, because they were a little bit racist in thinking that everyone speaks English.
Yeah, not everyone speaks English.
No. So they come up with their plan and everything, and then they go to rob the bank the day after they it looks like the day after, but it was probably a couple weeks since they had to learn some Spanish. So they go to rob the bank and everything, and they're in there, and they're trying to get all the people to do what they want, and Butch is reading the sayings off the paper, and Sundance keeps going, "You already read that one! They're already against the wall!" That part was really funny.
And Butch is like, well, then you read it then.
Yeah. Oh. So they get away with the money and everything, and some people come out and go tell the security guards, I guess, go tell the cops about what happened. And the cops start chasing them, and they go after all the way. They chase them for a good while, but Butch and Sundance hide up in the trees, start shooting at them.
Yeah.
So the cops run away. I thought that part was kind of funny.
Well, I mean,
there's quite a bit of this that was pretty funny, just in like this is the craziest thing in the world thing, you know, like, why is this even a real thing? Why did this happen?
Yeah, that's true. And then you see Etta and the kid robbing a bank too.
Yeah.
She gets involved with it.
Yeah.
Because they pose as like a couple and everything, and so.
And they get down into the vault. And I was wondering, why in the world did they take them down into the vault? Like, that didn't make sense to me, why they would take them down into the vault. But I guess it happened, so it doesn't... I don't know if that part actually happened that way, but, you know. But so they rob quite a few banks in their time in Bolivia.
Yeah, they do. Kind of get a name for themselves down in Bolivia also.
Yep. There's a wanted poster of them. We see them kind of living it up. They're just enjoying themselves, having fun and everything. I'm like, you guys are just blowing through your money. What the hell are you doing? Then they're eating dinner one night, and Butch sees a guy in a white straw hat, and he freaks out because he thinks it's the guy that was following them when they were in America.
Yeah.
So they start packing up to leave and everything. I'm trying to remember.
And then they're trying to get jobs so they can be straight.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go.
Because I was trying to remember when Etta leaves, because at one point Etta leaves. Oh, because she's trying to help them figure out jobs. She's like, well, you can do this. And they're like, nah. And she's like, well, you could do this. And they're like, nah. And they just keep coming up with, like, excuses of why they don't want this job or that job. And then I think she kind of, like, the reason she leaves is she realizes that they're just lazy and they don't want real jobs.
You know, I mean, they try to get, like, a real one with that dude protecting, like, the money.
Yeah, protecting them. It's the mining company, and he's, like, the head of that one mine, and he has to go get the payroll money, and they're, like, his security guards getting the payroll money.
Yeah.
They're not great at it, though.
No, they're not. I mean, they do get shot.
Yeah.
He has some pretty funny lines, too, before that, actually.
Yeah, he does have some pretty funny lines. So yeah, they're on their way back from getting the payroll, and the guy gets shot. Like you had said. And Butch and Sundance are trying to get away from the guys that are shooting, because they can't see them, but they know, like, kind of where they're shooting from. And so they kind of make their way away, because they throw the money up towards the guys, but then they come back across them, and we find out that Butch has never actually shot anyone.
He's like, now you tell me.
Yeah.
He's like, all this time, and you haven't told me? I'd be irritated, too.
Yeah. So, they take out the guys that stole the money, and they take the money. And then they're like, well, now what do we do to go straight? We already tried one thing, now what do we do? That didn't work out.
Yeah, and so, I mean, Etta leaves by this point.
Yeah.
She does.
This is where she leaves.
She's like, I'm gonna go ahead, because they're gonna go back.
Yep, they're gonna go back to robbing.
So she goes ahead, leaves them. Don't see her the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Of course, and then they keep robbing, because that's what they do.
And then they come into this one little town, and one of the kids that takes care of their horses recognizes them from, I guess, a wanted poster, or maybe they had been to that area before, something like that.
Yeah.
And so he goes and tells the cops, and Butch and Sundance are sitting there eating lunch, and they get shot at. And then we have this big, huge shootout thing through this little town. And the town looked really familiar from another movie that I've seen, but I cannot figure out what it was. So there's that. This is useless information, but... So we go through this whole little shootout thing, and at one point... So, like, throughout this whole movie, they've been good about how many bullets Butch and Sundance have been shooting off. But this part, they just kind of forget the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because there's a one point when they both have two guns and they're shooting. And they shoot way more bullets than those guns can hold.
Oh, I know. I noticed that, too. And it's like, I was counting, like, that's not right.
Yeah, I was like, that's too many. But there's one point when they run out of money, or not money, when they run out of bullets, or like they're really close to running out, and so Butch says he's gonna go to the donkey and get the ammo, because that's where the rest of their ammo is. So he makes his way over there, very dangerously, while Sundance covers him. And they get back into like this one building. It looks like it might be a church, but you can't see the front of the building. You only see the doorway where there's, it's like, kind of in.
Yeah, you don't see much of it.
It looks like it might be a church, though. To me, anyways. But they have both been shot at this point. At least once.
Yeah.
Or twice.
And that blood, man, that was not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
This is where the paintball blood comes in.
Yeah, it didn't look good. Like,
No,
at
it
all.
didn't. No. But we also see the army is arriving. And I understand that these are two really dangerous outlaws, but why do you need, like, 600 guys to take on two?
No idea.
Because there's, like, 600 people there. And at this point, we as the viewer, know that Butch and Sundance are screwed. They're dead.
Oh,
no
yeah.
matter what. But we see them, and they're making plans. Butch says they're gonna go to Australia. Because there's good banks there to rob.
Australia.
Yep. I'm like, okay, whatever. Go to Australia. So they make their way outside, and it's really cool how they did this, especially because their special effects are not the greatest. The they run outside and you hear all kinds of shooting, but the picture stops and all you see is them mid-run on their way out shooting. And all you hear is just a bunch of gunshots being fired.
Yep.
So you know that they're probably dead.
Yeah.
And actually, this is where they died.
I mean, of course, we can get into the speculation.
Yeah, some people think that they didn't die here, but
No.
pretty sure they did. So we'll talk about the music real quick because that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, it is.
We'll talk about the music real quick, and then we'll go into the comparison of their like real life events. Just the few little facts that I know, and then I'll put the rest of I'll put the link to their biography in the show notes. So the music is by Burt. How did you say his last name?
Bacharach.
Burt Bacharach. He was the composer, and he wrote the music for Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. Someone else did the lyrics, but he wrote the music for it, and he wrote all the music for this movie. He got started in 1956 on Don't Knock the Rock. I don't know what that is about, but I have a feeling it's not Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He is known for My Best Friend's Wedding from 1997, Austin Powers' The Spy Who Shagged Me from 1999, and Arthur from 1981.
Huh.
And he has won 3 Oscars, 2 of which were for Arthur in 1981. Best Music Original Song for Arthur's theme, and then Best Music Original Score he won for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And then he shared that the Best Music Original Song he shared for Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, The Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. He shared that with Hal David, who wrote the lyrics for Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. And then he also got the Oscar for Best Music Original Score for the motion picture of Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. We kind of already talked about like how we felt about the music.
Yeah.
That's like more background about the music.
Yeah, very 60s for the most part.
Yeah. There was there was bits and pieces that were definitely Western style, but this isn't really. I mean, it is a Western, but it's also not a Western.
It's not like in your face
bold
about it.
Yeah, like most Westerns are like really, really Western, and this one's not.
No, it's not.
So, the few things that I know about, like, their real life, I know their gang in real life was not called the Hole in the Wall Gang.
No.
I also do know that Sundance was more of the kind of leader type guy. Butch Cassidy just kind of came up with the ideas, and then Sundance is the one who kind of went and made the plans happen. And the movie was originally supposed to be called Sundance Kid and Butch Cassidy, but because of who portrayed who, they switched it to Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
I mean,
Because, Paul Newman wasn't going to be second billed.
no, even a Robert Redford.
Yeah.
Those are 2 big names right there.
Yeah. So, when they died, this is the only other real fact that I know. I didn't get a lot of time to read this little biography thing. But when they died, a lot of their gunshot wounds from that end sequence there, or like wherever they really died, because I'm not 100% sure. And I know they did die at a shootout.
Yeah.
So a lot of their wounds were in their arms and stuff. And they were bleeding out because, like they're hiding back behind cover and they'd stick their arm out to shoot. So that's where most of their wounds were. But there was one of them had a shot in the back of the head. I think it was, I don't remember which one's which, who had the gunshot where. But one of them had a shot in the back of the head, like the other one killed him, you know, kind of to save him from what was actually about to happen.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And then the other one, the one that shot the other, I think Butch shot Sundance in the back of the head. I think that's the way it happened. I might have it backwards, but we'll go with Butch shot Sundance in the back of the head to save him from what was happening. And then Butch shot himself in the temple to save himself.
Huh.
So that's how they really died. Is they were in a shootout, but they killed themselves pretty much.
Yeah.
Instead of being killed by someone else.
I can see that.
But yeah, I'll put the, cause there's a website, it's biography.com, that has information about the two of them and like their death, and it even has the conspiracy theory about they didn't die when they actually died and all this.
Oh yeah, I've heard that theory like many times.
Yeah, I have too, but I don't know. They died in 1908, is what it says. If they were alive a little bit after that, they still probably died because they were robbing banks. That's a given.
It's like, the one I keep hearing, the conspiracy theory, is that they lived till 1930s.
Oh, I doubt that.
I know.
I mean,
that's
I've
a
heard
theory.
that theory, but I highly doubt they lived that long.
Yeah. Just a
They
theory.
weren't the smartest when it came to getting away from situations. But yeah. I don't know what theory it has here, but in this one, because it talks about a couple of them.
Yeah.
I don't remember reading the 30s one, though. That might be somewhere else. But yeah, I'll put that link in the show notes if anybody is curious about, like, what actually happened to the two of them. So, do you have any other trivia that's not related to them? It's more related to the movie, maybe?
So this is like one of Sam Elliott's first films.
Yeah. I remember reading that somewhere.
And he married Catherine Ross.
Yeah, 15 years after
Still
this movie.
married.
Yeah.
I was like...
I have one
like,
kind of funny about Catherine Ross in this, because you mentioned her.
Go.
So, her and the cinematographer were, like, in love. They weren't married, but they were, like, in love. And so he kept letting her, like, mess with the cameras and stuff. So if she wasn't filming, she got kicked off the set when she wasn't filming because she kept messing up shots. So I thought that was funny.
I got... I'll say two more.
Okay.
So, some actors considered for Sundance.
Yeah.
Steve McQueen.
Oh, no.
And Warren Beatty.
Huh.
And I'm like, Steve McQueen wouldn't do it because of, contract issues. And Warren Beatty's like, this is too much like Bonnie and Clyde, which he'd just done like a few years earlier. So he's like,
yeah.
No. And the one thing, I thought this was funny. So, they tried to, the song Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head.
Uh-huh.
They tried to get Bob Dylan to sing it.
Oh, yeah, I remember reading that somewhere.
I'm like, oh God, no. That would have been awful.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan, amazing songwriter. Terrible singer.
Yeah.
He is a terrible singer. And I think he'll admit it himself.
I don't know. He seems like he's kind of full of himself.
Bob Dylan?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great songwriter, like, completely. It just, you can't understand a word he's singing.
That's very true.
So, yeah. That's what I got.
Okay. Trying to think if I have any more. Because I was reading about this movie, especially because, it's based on, like, true events. I like the ones that are based on true stuff.
Yeah, and I do.
Usually I like the ones that are based on true stuff. This is probably the only one on our list so far that we watched that I've liked that's based on true stuff, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, I'd also like that it's filmed in Colorado, some parts of it.
Yeah.
I recognized some of it. And I was like, oh, that's like western Colorado.
Yeah.
Like Durango and...
and the mountainous parts and stuff.
Yeah, I recognized those. I was like, oh, hey, Colorado, what's up?
Yeah, they filmed kind of like all over the place. Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, California, actually Mexico, Arizona.
Lots of places.
Yeah. They were just kind of all over the western part of the States. Yeah. I'm looking at the filming locations. A lot of it was in Mexico. Probably because of the part where they were in Bolivia.
Yeah.
But then, I'd say it's about half in Mexico, half in America. And then it's kind of divided up evenly where it is, like, in the United States. I don't think I have any other ones that I can think of.
Yeah. It's really, like, most of it's, like, history stuff.
Yeah. Most of it is just, like, what actually happened in their lives. And we're going to have that in the show notes. So, the link to that. So, where it has been on the list before, and where it is at today when we are recording. In 2010, it was number 151. In 2012, it was number 148. In 2014, it was number 169. In 2016, it was number 195. 2018, it was number 218. And today, when we are recording, it is number 219.
Huh.
So it has been dropping pretty steadily. But it's kind of leveled out now.
I feel like this should just remain on the list because it is a really good film.
Yeah. I do enjoy it. It was fun. So previously, number 210, the 2010 list, Kind Hearts and Cornets from 1949. 2012 list, District 9 from 2009. 2014 list, Lagan, Once Upon a Time in India from 2001. The 2016 list, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story from 2016. It's probably because it had just come out.
Yeah.
2018 list, Spotlight from 2015. And then as of today when we are recording, Hachi, A Dog's Tale from 2009, which is our movie for next week.
There's so many lines from this movie.
Yeah, there are a lot. I wrote down a few that I thought were pretty funny. There's one that I think just kind of is the one I think of most of the time when I think about this movie.
Okay.
Especially now that I've watched it again. But I wrote down a few other ones.
Yeah, I had to pause it a few times just to write some down.
Yeah. There's so many of them. Every day you get older, that's a law. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You just keep thinking, Butch. That's what you're good at. He says that like 2 or 3 times in the movie.
Yeah.
And variations of it, I think in total, variations of that, he says probably like 10 times.
Well, I mean, he is the thinker for the group, so.
That's true. I don't know where we've been, and I've just been there.
I like that one.
It was kind of funny. I wrote so small I have to find them. God, what does that even say? No one is going to rob us going down the mountain. We've got no money. When we've got the money, then you can sweat. Well, we've gone straight. What do we do now? Or what do we try now? And then the one that I like the most from the movie, I'll do anything you ask of me except one thing. I won't watch you die. Etta says that when she agrees to go with them to Bolivia.
Yeah.
I liked that one a lot.
That's a good one.
That's all I got.
Oh.
There's a lot of them in there that are famous, so I'm like, I don't want to really pick famous ones. I want to pick the good ones.
Well, the good ones are
Most
famous,
of the good ones are the famous ones, too.
So, I wrote, like, a bunch of them. Of course, I wrote the famous ones, so whatever. Mm-hmm. So, the one, the, hey, what are you doing? Stealing your woman? Take her.
Oh, yeah, that
Yeah,
one.
it's like, you're a romantic bastard.
Yeah.
He'll feel better after he's robbed a couple of banks.
Yeah.
Think he used enough dynamite?
Yeah. That one's a good one.
The fall would probably kill us. And this one's my favorite. It says morons. I've got morons on my team.
Yeah, I remember that one.
So what do you think? There's so many.
I like the one from Edda. That one's my favorite.
The one about that you won't watch her die?
Yeah.
I like it.
You want to do that one?
Yeah, that works.
Okay, I'll read it again. I'll do anything you ask of me except one thing. I won't watch you die.
It fits. I like it.
So, what did you give it? What did you rate it?
I gave it an 8.
Okay.
Gave it an 8. I mean, I've first time seeing it all the way through. Absolutely loved it. Gonna watch it again for sure. Paul Newman, Robert Redford, classic actors. Yeah. So many good lines in this movie, and it's a western, but not overly western. And that's western sometimes to me are just too much.
Yeah.
They're trying way too hard, and this was not at all. Plus, this is based on some historical, facts, which I like too. So, I did have to take some points off for. I would have given it a little bit higher, but the music and the special effects.
Yeah. I'm giving it a 7 for a lot of the same reasons. Music was there. Some of the music in there was just weird, and I'm like, what in the world's going on? Why is this here right now? I liked the pair up of Paul Newman and Robert Redford. It's funny, there was times when I was watching it, and there's certain angles where Paul Newman looked exactly like Matthew McConaughey, and I'm like, no, that's not him. Why does he keep looking like Matthew McConaughey?
Oh, okay. I can see that.
There are just certain angles that it had him in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, please stop. Yeah, the special effects were pretty bad.
Yeah, they're pretty dated.
Yeah. And there was some parts where it just kind of there was some stuff that wasn't necessary.
Yeah, like the bike scene with raindrops.
Yeah. So, but for the most part, I liked it. I enjoyed it.
I did too.
Yeah.
What was it? We're gonna see Robert Redford and Paul Newman again together.
Yeah.
I know they're in The Sting also.
We will be seeing both of them again.
Yeah.
So our next film is Hachi, A Dog's Tale from 2009. And, so that'll be out at on the 29th, so almost the end of the month. It'll be our last episode for February.
Yeah.
I mean March. It's March.
It's March now.
It'll be our last episode for March.
It doesn't feel like March, though, does it?
No.
No.
And then we are also offering premium. So if you would like to get premium, you will get uncut episodes, early release episodes, and a special monthly episode. All of that for $1 a month. For $5 a month, you will get all of that. Plus, you will be able to pick a movie of your choice for every 50 movies. So you get 5 movies total. It's about to go down to 4. Our next monthly special episode is going to be Howard the Duck, which is one of Jess's least favorite movies. If you are interested in hearing our specific thoughts on that episode but don't want to pay for premium, that episode will be available for just $1, and that will be out by the end of this month. We are still running our contest. If you would leave us a positive written review, if you would leave us a review at all, that would be great. It helps us out. Lets us know what we're doing good, what we're not doing good. It gives us some feedback. That would be great. If you can't, if you don't know how to leave a review, or you can't leave a review, or you don't want to pay money, you can share the episodes with your friends so that we can get some more listeners. So we've gone up a little bit in listenership, so that was good.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I like to hear that.
Yeah. And so yeah, if you would not mind sharing some with your friends, especially if it's one of their favorite movies and we liked the movie, Or if it's one of their favorite movies and we didn't like it, they can argue with us and tell us why they liked it and tell us why we're wrong.
Yeah. I mean, we don't like every movie. We're not gonna like every movie either. But that's just gonna happen.
Yeah. So, please do that. And, you can find, or your friends can find our episodes everywhere. Except for iHeartRadio, we're still working on getting that one up. I haven't heard back from them, so it should be up pretty soon. Hopefully within the next couple of weeks.
Hopefully.
Yep. So our music is by Audio Binger, and you can find him on Facebook, YouTube, and his website, audiobinger.net.
Yeah, it's got some good tunes.
Yep. And I think that's all we've got for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Yeah, I think so.
So we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.